Kate Morrison stepped off the transport ship and into the massive docking bay of Epsilon 7 Station. The metal floor vibrated under her boots as alien ships landed and took off around her. She had never seen anything like this place before. Ships of every size and shape filled the enormous space. Some looked like giant insects made of metal. Others were smooth and round like eggs. A few looked like they were made of crystal and light. She pulled her single bag over her shoulder and walked toward the exit. Other beings moved past her in every direction. Most of them were twice her size or bigger. The Centauri looked like walking diamonds with arms and legs. Their skin was made of what looked like clear crystal, but Kate knew it was harder than steel. They moved with perfect grace, each step making a soft ringing sound on the metal floor. A group of Vex soldiers stood near the wall. They looked like giant lizards walking on two legs. Their scales were dark green and black, and Kate could see the sharp teeth in their long mouths. One of them looked at her as she passed. Its yellow eyes followed her for a moment before it turned away. She was not important enough to worry about. Kate found the transport that would take her to the academy section of the station. She sat in the back, trying not to stare at the other passengers. A Catherian sat across from her. It had 4 arms and skin that changed colors as it breathed. 2 of its arms were reading from a data pad, while the other 2 worked on some kind of device. All 4 arms moved independently, like they had minds of their own. The transport moved through tunnels that connected different parts of the station. Through the windows, Kate could see space and the stars beyond. She had grown up in Montana. In the mountains where the only lights at night were the stars. But here, surrounded by alien technology and beings who could kill her without thinking about it, those stars felt very far away. The academy section was even more impressive than the docking bay. The walls were covered with symbols from dozens of different alien languages. Holograms showed battles from wars Kate had only read about. Students from across the galaxy walked through the halls, their voices creating a mix of sounds that hurt her ears. Kate found her room number and pressed her hand to the door scanner. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Sighed. She found her roommate already unpacked and settled in. Catherian looked up from her desk with all 4 eyes. Key must be the human, she said. Her voice was musical, but there was no warmth in it. I am Zexnala of the 3rd ring of Kither Prime. I was told I would be sharing space with your species. Kate set her bag on the empty bed. I'm Kate Morrison, from Earth. Zexnala's skin shifted to a pale blue color. Kate had read that this meant curiosity in Catherian body language. Earth, the small world with the weak gravity and thin atmosphere. I have read about your planet. It is surprising that your species developed space travel at all. Kate did not know what to say to that. She had heard similar things from other aliens during her journey to the academy. Humans were new to space. Keen, they were small and soft compared to most other species. No natural weapons or armor. Most aliens wondered why humans had been invited to join the Galactic Defense Academy at all. She began unpacking her few belongings. Her clothes looked plain next to Zexnala's equipment. The Catherian had devices that glowed and hummed with energy. Her weapons were works of art, carved from materials Kate had never seen before. Kate's things came from military surplus stores and her father's old camping gear. Why did they accept you? Zexnala asked. Sfu was not trying to be mean. She seemed genuinely confused. Your species has no natural advantages. You cannot fly. You cannot breathe poison. You have no armor or claws. What can you do that others cannot do better? Kate folded her spare uniform and put it in a locker. I don't know, she said honestly. Maybe they needed someone to make up the numbers. Zexnala's skin turned yellow, which Kate thought might be amusement. Perhaps. Or perhaps there is something about humans that we do not understand yet. The next morning, Kate joined the other new students in the main hall. There were about 200 of them from 40 different species. Kate was the only human. She stood at the back, trying to make herself invisible. It was not hard. Most of the other students did not even notice her. Commander Throckmore entered the hall, and everyone fell silent. He was Origin, which meant he was built like a tank with legs. His skin was thick and gray, covered with scars from battles across the galaxy. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire hall without any effort. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy," he said. "You are here because you represent the best your species has to offer. You will be trained in the arts of war, strategy, and survival. Most of you will fail." His eyes swept across the room and stopped when they found Kate. She felt his gaze like a physical weight. "Some of you are here for political reasons," he continued. Your governments wanted to show that they could participate in galactic affairs. You will also fail, but you will fail faster than the others." A few students looked in Kate's direction. She kept her face blank and her eyes forward. Commander Throckmore activated a hologram in the center of the hall. It showed a rotating display of different weapons and fighting techniques. "You will learn to use weapons designed for your species. You will also learn to fight with weapons designed for other species. In real combat, you use whatever you can find." The hologram changed to show different environments: desert worlds with acid rain, ice planets where the cold could freeze metal, jungle worlds where the plants were more dangerous than the animals. You will train in conditions that simulate every known hostile environment in the galaxy. If you cannot adapt, you will not survive to graduate. After the briefing, the students were divided into groups for initial testing. Kate found herself with 5 other students, including Kethvor, a Centauri prince whose crystal skin caught the light like diamonds. He was tall and perfect, moving with the confidence of someone who had never doubted his own abilities. The first test was simple physical assessment: strength, speed, endurance, and reaction time. Kate watched as Kethvar lifted weights that would have crushed her. A Vex student named Sector ran a course so fast he was almost invisible. An Etherian called Moralith completed a puzzle using only her mind, moving pieces through the air without touching them. When Kate's turn came, she performed adequately. She was stronger than she looked, but weak compared to most of the others. She was fast for a human, but slow compared to aliens bred for speed. Her endurance was good, but nothing special in a room full of species that could run for days without rest. The testing supervisor, a bored-looking Xanthari instructor, recorded her scores without comment. Kate could see the numbers on his display. Bottom 20% in every category. As they left the testing area, Kethvar fell into step beside her. "Do not feel bad about your performance," he said. His voice was like music played on crystal bells. "Your species was not designed for warfare. Perhaps you could serve in support roles." Kate nodded politely. "Maybe. I am curious," Kethvar continued. "What made you think you could succeed here? Surely you knew you would be at a disadvantage." Kate looked up at him. Even though she was tall for a human woman, the top of her head barely reached his shoulder. "Someone has to be first," she said simply. That evening, Kate sat in her room while Zexnala worked on her equipment. Quitherian's 4 arms moved in perfect coordination, adjusting settings and running diagnostics on weapons that could probably destroy small buildings. "How did your testing go?" Zexnala asked, without looking up from her work. "About as expected," Kate replied. She was reading through the Academy's training manual on her datapad. The course descriptions made her stomach tight with worry. Combat training with live weapons, survival exercises in deadly environments, strategic simulations where failure meant elimination from the program. "The instructors are already talking," Zexnala said. "They think you will not last 2 weeks." Kate turned a page in the manual. What do you think? Zexnala's skin turned a deep purple color. Kate had not seen that color before and did not know what it meant. I think, the Catherian said slowly, that there must be a reason your species survived long enough to reach the stars. Perhaps it is not obvious yet. Kate closed the manual and lay back on her narrow bed. Through the small window, she could see stars and the curve of a nearby planet. It was beautiful, but it was not home. Home was mountains and forests, rivers and storms. Home was a place where everything was trying to kill you, and you had to be smart and tough and mean to survive. But she was not home anymore. She was here, surrounded by beings who could break her in half without effort, trying to prove that humans belonged among the warriors of the galaxy. Tomorrow, the real training would begin. Kate closed her eyes and tried to sleep. She dreamed of Montana winters and the sound of wind through pine trees. She dreamed of her father teaching her to track deer through snow and how to find shelter when the temperature dropped below freezing. In her dreams, those lessons seemed very far away and not important anymore. She had no idea how wrong she was. 3 months had passed since Kate arrived at the academy. She had found her place among the other students, and that place was at the bottom. Not the very bottom where students got kicked out, but low enough that nobody paid attention to her anymore. She had become invisible. Kate sat in the back of the combat theory classroom, taking notes while Professor Vicklin explained different fighting styles used across the galaxy. The massive scorn instructor used his 6 arms to demonstrate attack patterns while his students watched. Most of them were taking notes on their data pads. Kate still used paper and pen, which made some of the other students laugh at first. Now they did not even notice. Thari fighting style relies on precision and speed, Professor Vicklin was saying. Their crystal bodies could take great damage, so they fight without fear of injury. They move forward always, never backward. Kethvar straightened in his seat when his species was mentioned. He had become the unofficial leader of their class. His combat scores were perfect, and even the instructors treated him with respect. When he spoke, other students listened. The Vex style is different, the professor continued. They use poison and stealth. They wait for the perfect moment to strike, then disappear before their enemy can fight back. Sector, the Vex student, smiled with his mouth full of sharp teeth. He was good at the stealth exercises. Kate had never seen him during the nighttime training missions until he appeared right next to his targets. The Etherian style requires no physical contact at all, Professor Vicklin said. They used their mental powers to control the battlefield. Moralith nodded from her seat near the front. She was small and pale, with large eyes that seemed to see everything. During combat practice, she could make her opponents stumble or miss their targets just by thinking about it. Her enemies often lost fights before they even knew they were in them. And what about humans? Ganassi, a Catherian student with red skin markings. What is their fighting style? Professor Vicklin paused. His 6 eyes looked toward Kate for a moment. Humans are ... adaptable. They learn the styles of other species and copy them. Okay? This is their strength and their weakness. Kate kept taking notes and did not look up. She had heard this explanation before. Humans were copycats. They had no style of their own because they had no natural advantages to build a style around. They just tried to do what other species did better. After class, Kate walked to the training center for physical combat practice. She had gotten better over the past 3 months, but better was still not good. She could hold her own against other students for a few minutes before they overpowered her. The instructor said this was acceptable progress for a human today. They were practicing with shock sticks, weapons that delivered electric jolts when they hit their target. Kate was paired with Nixila, female Vex, who was small for her species, but still much larger than Kate. Nixila was not mean, but she was not gentle either. Begin, called Instructor Harbeck from the side of the training mat. Nexila moved forward, quickly, her shock stick spinning in complex patterns. Kate tried to block and counter, but the Vex was too fast. The shock stick hit Kate's shoulder, sending electricity through her body. She stumbled, but stayed on her feet. They circled each other. Kate watched Nexila's movements, looking for patterns. The Vex liked to attack high first, then sweep low. Kate had seen her do this against other opponents. When Nexila came forward again, Kate was ready. She ducked under the high attack and moved to the side, avoiding the low sweep. For a moment, Kate had an opening. She could have hit Nexila in the ribs, but she hesitated, and the moment passed. Nexila spun around and tagged Kate with the shock stick again. "Time," called the instructor. Nexila wins. Kate bowed to her opponent, as was the custom. Nexila bowed back, but Kate could see the disappointment in her yellow eyes. The Vex had expected more of a challenge. "You had an opening," Nexila said as they walked off the mat. "Why did you not take it?" Kate wiped sweat from her face with a towel. "I was not sure it was a real opening. I thought it might be a trap." Nexila made a sound that might have been laughter. "In real combat, you cannot wait for perfect opportunities. You must take chances." Kate nodded, but she did not really agree. Taking chances got you killed. She had learned that lesson in the mountains back home. Patience kept you alive. That afternoon, their instructor announced a special training exercise. "You will be divided into teams of 6, Commander Thakmore said. "Each team will be sent to training Asteroid 7. Your mission is to locate and secure a beacon in the asteroid's underground tunnels. The first team to complete the mission wins. The last team to complete the mission fails." Kate found herself assigned to Team Delta with Kethvar as team leader. The other members were Morales, Sector, Nexila, and Gracton. A massive Gorlock whose rocky skin made him nearly impossible to hurt. KETH-VAR gathered the team for planning. "This exercise is simple," he said. "Move fast, find the beacon, and secure it before the other teams. A crystal body can take damage from the asteroid's defense systems. Gracton can break through barriers. Sector can scout ahead. Morelith can sense the beacon's location. Nexila can disable electronic locks." Kate waited for him to mention her role in the plan. He did not. "What about me?" she asked. Kethvar looked at her like he had forgotten she was there. "You, ... stay with the group. Do not get separated. Try not to slow us down." The transport ship took them to training Asteroid 7. It was a small rock floating in space, hollowed out and filled with tunnels, training rooms, and automated defense systems. The Academy used it to simulate underground combat situations. Kate studied the asteroid through the transport's windows as they approached. The surface was covered with sensor arrays and weapon turrets. Hatches led to the tunnel systems below. The whole thing looked like a metal beehive carved into rock. Their team entered through hatch 7. The tunnels inside were dark and narrow, lit only by emergency strips along the walls. The air smelled like metal and recycled atmosphere. Kate could hear the hum of machinery somewhere in the distance. Kethvar took point, his crystal skin glowing softly in the darkness. The others followed in formation. Kate brought up the rear, watching their backs while trying to remember the tunnel layout from the briefing. They had been moving for 20 minutes when the first defense turret activated. Red laser light swept down the tunnel toward them. Kethvar raised his arms to block it, and the laser bounced off his crystal skin like light off a mirror. "Defense systems are active," he reported. This was not mentioned in the briefing. Closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. "I sense confusion in the central computer. Something is wrong with the programming." Sector slipped ahead to scout the next junction. He came back quickly, his scales dark with worry. Multiple turrets ahead. They are not following normal patterns. They shoot at everything that moves. The team stopped to reassess. This was supposed to be a simple navigation exercise, but it was turning into something more dangerous. The asteroid's training systems were malfunctioning. We should go back, Nexula said. Report the malfunction to the instructors, HFY said firmly. The other teams will complete the mission while we waste time. We'll continue forward. Grakton smashed through a wall to create a new path around the first set of turrets. His rocky fists broke stone and metal like they were made of clay. But the noise brought more turrets online. Soon they could hear weapons charging up all around. Kate listened to the sounds echoing through the tunnels. The pattern of activation was wrong. These systems were not just malfunctioning, adapting their response to the team's movements. Something was making them smarter than they should be. The central computer is corrupted, she said quietly. What? Kethvar asked. The defense systems. They are not just broken. Something is making them work together in new ways. They are hunting us. Moralith nodded slowly. She is right. I can feel it too. There is intelligence behind this, but it is not like any mind I have touched before. The lights in the tunnel flickered and went out. Emergency power kicked in a moment later, but the new lighting was red and dim. Somewhere in the darkness ahead, they could hear metal moving against metal. We need to move, Sector said. Now. As they advanced deeper into the asteroid, Kate found herself noticing things the others missed. The way sound carried through the tunnels. The pattern of airflow that showed which passages were connected. The subtle vibrations in the walls that meant heavy machinery was moving. She had spent her childhood in caves and mine shafts in Montana. Her father had taught her to read the underground, to understand how stone and metal behaved. Those lessons had seemed useless at the academy. But now they whispered warnings that her conscious mind was only beginning to hear. The team reached a major intersection where 5 tunnels met. Kethvar checked his map display, but the screen showed only static. Navigation is down, he reported. We are on our own. That was when they heard the sound that made even Grakton step backward. Something large was moving through the tunnels toward them. Something that was not part of the original training program. Kate closed her eyes and listened. She could feel the shape of the asteroid around them, the empty spaces and solid walls. Kate opened her eyes and looked down the 5 tunnels that stretched away from the intersection. Her teammates stood around her, waiting for someone to make a decision. The sound of something large moving through the asteroid was getting closer. Way, Kate said, pointing to the tunnel on the far right. Kethvar looked at his broken navigation device. How do you know which way to go? I can feel it, Kate said simply. She started walking toward the tunnel before anyone could argue. The others followed because they had no better option. Kate moved through the red emergency lighting like she could see in the dark. Her footsteps were quiet on the metal floor. Behind her, the alien students tried to move as silently as she did, but their natural advantages worked against them in the narrow tunnels. Kethvar's crystal body reflected the emergency lights, making him visible from far away. Grakton's rocky feet made loud scraping sounds with every step. Sector was naturally quiet, but his breathing was too fast. Fear made him sloppy. Kate could hear all of this, but she could also hear other things. The way air moved through the tunnel system told her which passages were open and which were blocked. The vibrations in the walls showed her where the heavy machinery was located. The pattern of sounds from the defense systems told her how they were programmed to hunt. Stop, she whispered, holding up her hand. The team froze. Kate tilted her head, listening to something only she could hear. Around the next corner, 3 defense turrets were waiting in ambush position. They had learned to work together, sharing information about the team's movements. Kate picked up a piece of broken metal from the floor. She threw it down the tunnel so it bounced off the far wall. The turrets immediately opened fire, their laser beams cutting through the space where the team would have been walking. How did you know? Merilith asked quietly. Kate did not answer. She was already moving again, leading them through a maintenance passage that bypassed the turret ambush. The passage was barely wide enough for Graktin to squeeze through, but it connected to the main tunnel beyond the danger zone. As they moved deeper into the asteroid, Kate began to change. K's movements became more fluid, more certain. She stopped hesitating before making decisions. When Sector pointed out a security door blocking their path, Kate walked up to it and studied the locking mechanism for 30 seconds before pulling out 2 wires and connecting them. The door slid open. "Where did you learn to do that?" Nexila asked. "My father taught me about electrical systems," Kate said, but that was not the whole truth. Her father had taught her about car engines and farm equipment. This was something else, something that came from watching and understanding how things worked. They reached a large chamber where the tunnel system opened up into a natural cave. The beacon they were looking for sat on a platform in the center of the chamber, glowing with soft blue light. But between them and the beacon, 8 defense drones floated in the air. These were not turrets bolted to walls, okay? These were mobile weapons that could fly and hunt. 8 drones, Kethvar said. "We can take them. Graktin can draw their fire while I flank from the left. Sector can use stealth to get close. Moralith can confuse their targeting systems." Kate studied the drones' movement patterns. They flew in a formation that covered all approaches to the beacon. Their weapons were charged and ready, but she noticed something the others missed. The drones were programmed to respond to threats in a specific order. Biggest threat first, then fastest, then most dangerous weapons. "That will not work," Kate said. Kethvar turned to her with irritation. "Do you have a better plan?" Kate looked around the chamber. The walls were natural rock with metal supports. Water dripped from somewhere high above. The floor was uneven, with pieces of broken stone scattered around. Her father had taught her that every environment could be used as a weapon if you understood it well enough. "Give me your shock stick," she said to Nexula. The Vex handed over her weapon. Kate examined it for a moment, then used the metal debris on the floor to prop it up against one of the support beams. She adjusted the angle carefully. "When I say go, everyone run to the left side of the chamber. Stay low and move fast." "What are you doing?" Kithvar demanded. Kate picked up 2 more pieces of metal and weighed them in her hands. Something stupid. She stepped into the open and threw the first piece of metal at the nearest drone. It hit the machine's sensor array, and all 8 drones immediately turned toward her. Their weapons began to charge. Kate ran toward the right side of the chamber, away from her teammates. The drones followed her, their laser weapons firing at the ground where she had been a split second before. She rolled behind a large rock, just as the air above her head turned bright with laser fire. "Go," Kate shouted. Her teammates ran to the left as Kate had told them. The drones ignored them completely, focused on what their programming told them was the biggest threat. Kate was moving, attacking, and acting like a primary target. Kate threw the second piece of metal, this time at the shock stick she had propped against the support beam. The metal hit the activation switch, and electricity arced from the weapon to the wet metal beam. The electrical current traveled through the support structure and into the chamber's power grid. The lights went out. The drone's formation broke as their shared communication network failed. In the darkness, they began firing at each other, their targeting systems confused by the electrical interference. Kate moved through the chaos like she belonged there. She had spent years hunting in mountain forest where one wrong step meant death. She knew how to move without making sound, how to use darkness as cover, how to think like a predator. One by one, the drones fell silent. Kate used the metal debris as weapons, throwing pieces with deadly accuracy to damage sensors and control systems. When the last drone crashed to the ground, she was standing next to the beacon. Emergency lighting came back on. Her teammates stared at her from across the chamber. 8 military drones lay broken around her feet. Kate's breathing was steady. Her hands were calm, and her eyes were bright with something that had not been there before. Kethwar walked toward her slowly. "How did you do that?" Kate picked up the beacon and checked its status indicators. Green, mission complete. "I listened," she said, "but it was more than that, and they all knew it." Something had changed in Kate during the fight. The careful, hesitant human who had struggled through 3 months of training was gone. In her place stood someone who moved like a natural predator, someone who saw opportunities where others saw only danger. Miralith approached Kate with obvious caution. "May I?" she asked, gesturing toward her head. Kate nodded. The Etherean reached out gently with her telepathic abilities, trying to understand what had happened to her human teammate. What she found made her step backward with fear in her large eyes. "What is it?" Crackton asked in his deep, rumbling voice. Miralith looked at Kate like she was seeing her for the first time. "She is not what we thought. None of them are." "What do you mean?" Sector asked. Her mind, Miralith whispered. "It's like looking into a deep cave filled with sleeping monsters, and they are starting to wake up." Kate secured the beacon to her equipment belt. "We should go. The other teams will be looking for this too." She started walking toward the tunnel that would lead them back to the surface. Teammates followed, but they kept their distance now. It's the way Kate moved through the tunnels was different from before. She did not check her map or look for guidance. She knew where she was going. As they climbed toward the asteroid surface, Kethvar fell into step beside Kate. "You have been hiding your abilities," he said. Kate glanced at him. "No, I did not know I had them, but you do know now." Kate was quiet for a long moment. They could see daylight ahead where the tunnel opened onto the asteroid's surface. Soon they would be back on the transport ship, and this exercise would be over. But something had changed that could not be unchanged. Kate said, finally, "I know now." They emerged from the tunnel to find Commander Throckmore waiting with a rescue team. Other instructors were there too, along with medical equipment and armed guards. Kate realized that the training exercise had gone much worse than anyone had planned. "Report," Commander Throckmore demanded. Kethvar stepped forward. "The beacon is secured, sir. 8 hostile drones neutralized. Mission complete." The commander looked at the beacon, then at Kate, who neutralized the drones. Kethvar hesitated. Around them, the other instructors were watching with interest. Kate could feel their attention like heat from a fire. "She did," Kethvar said, pointing at Kate. Commander Throckmore studied Kate with his small, intelligent eyes. 8 military drones. Alone. "Yes, sir." The commander was quiet for a moment. Then he activated his communication device. "Cancel the search and rescue for the other teams. Call all students to the academy immediately. We need to talk." Yes. The transport ship carried them back to Epsilon 7 station. Kate sat by herself near the back. Her teammates sat together at the front, talking in low voices. She could hear them discussing what they had seen, trying to understand what it meant. Kate looked out the window at the stars and thought about home. Montana mountains, where bears and wolves hunted in the darkness. Winter storms that could kill you if you made one mistake. The transport ship docked at Epsilon 7 station with emergency lights flashing. Commander Throckmore ordered all students to report to medical for examination while the instructors held an emergency meeting. Kate sat in the medical bay while a Xanthari doctor ran scanners over her body, looking for injuries that were not there. Heart rate normal. Blood pressure slightly elevated, but within human parameters. No signs of combat stress or psychological trauma. The doctor made notes on his data pad. "How do you feel?" Kate thought about the question. How did she feel? Different. Awake. Like she had been walking through fog for 3 months and could finally see clearly. "Fine," she said, The doctor ran one more scan and frowned at the results. Brain activity is higher than your baseline readings from 3 months ago, significantly higher. Have you been taking any stimulants or enhancement? Drugs? No. Interesting. The doctor made more notes. You are cleared for duty. Next. Kate left the medical bay and walked through the academy corridors. Other students stared at her as she passed. Word had spread quickly about what happened in the asteroid. 8 military drones destroyed by the small human who everyone had written off as harmless in her room. Nala was packing her equipment with all 4 arms working at once. Her skin had turned a pale gray color that Kate had never seen before. You are leaving? Kate asked. Nala did not look up from her packing. My family has recalled me. They think the academy has become too dangerous. Kate sat on her bed. Because of what happened today. Because of you. Nala finally looked at Kate, and her large eyes were filled with something between fear and respect. My people have a saying, never hunt with a predator unless you know what it eats. I am not a predator. Nala's skin shifted too deep. Purple. That is what makes you so dangerous. You do not even know what you are. That evening, Kate was called to Commander Thakmore's office. The massive Zorgon sat behind a desk that looked too small for his bulk. Video screens covered the walls, showing images from security cameras throughout the academy. Sit, he commanded. Kate took the chair across from his desk. The commander studied her for a long moment before speaking. I have been reviewing the footage from today's exercise. 8 drones, each capable of killing a trained soldier, destroyed in less than 4 minutes. No weapons except thrown debris and environmental manipulation. No backup, no support. He leaned forward, explaining. Kate met his gaze. They were predictable. I used that against him. Predictable. The commander touched a control on his desk. In one of the screens showed video from inside the asteroid chamber. Kate watched herself move through the drone attack like she was dancing with death. Terry drones are programmed with over 3 million combat scenarios. They adapt to enemy tactics in real time. How is that predictable? Kate watched the video replay. She could see what she had done, but explaining it was harder. They followed rules. Rules can be broken if you understand them. Commander Thakmore was quiet for a moment. Then he activated another screen that showed files and reports from across the galaxy. Do you know what this is? Kate looked at the data scrolling past. Military reports, xenobiology studies, cultural analyses. All of them had one thing in common. They were about Earth and humans. After today's incident, I sent requests for information about your species to every military command in the galaxy. The responses have been ... illuminating. The commander highlighted several files. Combat reports from the Vegan War mention human mercenaries who fought with unusual tactics. Survival records from the Kepler colony show humans adapting to hostile environments faster than any other species. Psychological profiles from first contact situations describe humans as persistently dangerous and evolutionarily unstable. Kate read the reports as they appeared on screen. Most of them described humans as weak and primitive, but there were details that told a different story. Humans who kept fighting after injuries that would kill other species. Humans who solved problems by doing things that seemed impossible. Humans who scared their allies almost as much as their enemies. Your planet, Commander Thakmore continued, has experienced 5 major extinction events. Species that survive one extinction event are considered hardy. Species that survive 2 are considered exceptional. Your species survived 5. No, about the extinctions, Kate said. Everyone on Earth learns about them in school. Do you know what they mean? The commander brought up an image of Earth from space. The blue and green planet looked peaceful from a distance. Every other known Species evolved on worlds that were stable, predictable, safe enough for intelligence to develop slowly over millions of years. Your world tried to kill everything on it, over and over again. Only the most adaptable, most dangerous, most relentlessly survivable creatures lived long enough to have offspring. Kate looked at the image of her home planet. She had never thought of Earth as particularly dangerous. Storms, earthquakes, predators, disease, ice ages. These were just part of life. Every human grew up learning to deal with them. You come from a world where the apex predators include your own ancestors, the commander said. Where the prey animals developed intelligence because it was the only way to survive being hunted by creatures specifically evolved to kill them. Your species spent millions of years in an arms race with everything else on your planet, including each other. Kate was beginning to understand. That is why the other students cannot predict what I will do. Exactly. They evolved on worlds with the rules. Predators hunt in specific ways. Prey animals flee in specific patterns. Combat follows logical progressions. Cool. But your species learned to survive by breaking every rule, because on your world, following the rules meant death. The commander activated another screen that showed training footage from Kate's first week at the academy. She looked small and uncertain, struggling with weapons designed for species with natural advantages she lacked. This is who you were when you arrived. Trying to fight like other species fight. Think like other species think. He switched to footage from the asteroid exercise. This is who you became when you stopped pretending to be something you are not. Kate watched herself destroy the drones with a combination of strategy, improvisation, and absolute ruthlessness that she had not even been aware of at the time. In the video, she moved like something that had never known safety, never experienced the luxury of not being afraid. What happens now? Kate asked. Before the commander could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Emergency lights bathed the office in red as automated voices announced a code-level crisis. Unknown vessel approaching station. All defensive systems activate. All students report to emergency stations immediately. Commander Throckmorton stood and grabbed his weapons from the wall. It appears we're about to find out what happens when a human faces a real threat instead of a training exercise. They rushed to the command center where dozens of officers worked at control stations. The main screen showed a massive ship approaching. Epsilon 7. It was larger than anything Kate had ever seen, covered with weapon turrets and armor plating. Identification, Commander Throckmorton demanded. Unknown design, reported a Xanthari communications officer. They are not responding to hails. Energy readings suggest they are charging weapons. How long until they reach firing range? 6 minutes. Kate studied the approaching ship on the main screen. Kate moved with purpose and confidence, like something that had never been defeated in battle. Around the command center, alien officers prepared for combat with the efficiency of trained professionals. But Kate could see something they missed. "Commander," she said quietly. "Not now, cadet." "Sir, that ship is not attacking the station. It is approaching with weapons charged." "That constitutes hostile intent." Kate looked at the tactical display, showing the ship's approach vector. "No, sir. It is testing us and wants to see how we respond to a threat." Commander Throckmorton paused in his preparations, displaying. Kate pointed at the display. "The approach angle is wrong for an attack. Okay. If they wanted to destroy the station, they would come from the blind spot behind the asteroid field. This vector exposes them to all our defensive systems. Perhaps their intelligence is incomplete. Or perhaps they know exactly where our defenses are, and they want us to see them coming." Kate studied the ship's design more carefully. The weapon turrets were positioned for maximum visibility, not maximum efficiency. The armor plating was arranged in patterns that would look intimidating to observers. "Okay, this is a show of force, not an attack." The commander looked at the tactical display with new understanding. Kate was right. The approaching ship was powerful enough to destroy the station, but its approach suggested different intentions. All weapons, hold fire, he ordered. Communications, keep trying to make contact. The massive ship stopped just outside the station's defensive perimeter. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then a single, small shuttle detached from the ship and approached the docking bay. They want to talk, Kate said. Commander Thogmore looked at her with something that might have been respect. How did you know? Kate thought about her father's lessons from the Montana wilderness. How to read the signs that told you whether an animal was hunting, fleeing, or just passing through. How to understand intentions from behavior patterns. Kate walked beside Commander Thogmore toward the docking bay where the mysterious aliens waited. Her hands were steady, but her mind was racing. 3 months ago, she had been nobody special. Now she was about to represent humanity in first contact with a species that had technology beyond anything the galaxy had seen. The docking bay doors opened to reveal 3 beings that moved like liquid grace. They were tall and thin, with skin that seemed to shift between different shades of silver. Their faces were angular and beautiful, with large eyes that held intelligence older than most civilizations. I am Veltara of the Ascended, the leader said. Her voice was like music played on crystal instruments. We have come to speak with the one who understood our intentions. Commander Thogmore stepped forward. I'm the commanding officer of this facility. Velthara's large eyes shifted to Kate. But you are not the one who saw what others missed. That was her. Kate felt the weight of attention from beings whose technology could probably destroy solar systems. I am Kate Morrison, she said simply. Morrison Kate, Velthara repeated, getting the name structure wrong, but making it sound like something important. Your mind works differently than the others. You saw predator behavior where they saw only attack patterns. Your ship was testing us, Kate said. You wanted to see how we would respond to a threat. Velthara made a sound that might have been laughter. Most species respond with fear or aggression. They prepare weapons. They call for help. They try to hide. You did none of these things. I did suggest holding fire, Kate said. Yes, but more than that, you understood why we came. You read our intentions from our actions. Velthara moved closer, studying Kate with obvious interest. Your species is new to us. We have watched your progress for some time, but we needed to understand what you truly are. Commander Thogmore looked confused. The humans had been part of the galactic community for less than 5 years. How long have you been watching them? Since they first left their world, another of the Ascended said. We monitor all species that develop space travel. Most follow predictable patterns. They explore cautiously, make contact slowly, join the galactic community gradually. Humans did none of these things. Velthara activated a device that projected images into the air. Kate saw footage of human ships, human colonies, human soldiers fighting in wars across the galaxy. In 5 years, your species has spread to 47 worlds. You have fought in 6 major conflicts, always as mercenaries, always on the winning side. You adapt to alien environments faster than species that evolved on similar worlds. You learn alien languages in weeks instead of years. You solve problems that have puzzled other species for centuries. Kate watched the images with growing understanding. Humans were not just participating in galactic civilization. They were changing it. We came here to understand why, Velthara continued. Other species develop slowly, carefully. They build on the knowledge of those who came before. But humans innovate constantly. You take existing technology and make it better. You find new ways to use old tools. You think of solutions that no one else considers. Because we had to, Kate said quietly. Explain. Kate thought about how to put it into words. On Earth, if you did not adapt, you died. If you could not find new solutions to old problems, something else would kill you. Every generation had. to be better than the last, or there would be no next generation. Velthara's eyes brightened with interest. Your entire species was shaped by constant existential pressure. Every species was shaped by their environment, Commander Throckmorton said. What makes humans different? The third ascendant spoke for the first time. Most worlds allow their inhabitants to become comfortable. Predators hunt, prey, animals hide or run, and the patterns remain stable for millions of years. Species develop one successful strategy and use it forever. Velthara nodded. But on the human world, nothing remained stable. The climate changed constantly. Predators evolved new hunting methods. Prey animals developed new defenses. Even the planet itself was trying to kill everything on it. Kate remembered her father's stories about Earth's history. The ice ages that forced human ancestors to invent fire and clothing. The predators that made humans learn to use tools. The diseases that made them develop medicine. Storms and earthquakes that taught them to build better shelters. Humans never had the luxury of finding one solution and keeping it forever, she said. We had to keep changing, keep improving, keep finding new ways to survive. And that made you dangerous, Velthara said, with something like admiration. Not because you are violent, but because you never stop adapting. You take any situation and find a way to not just survive it, but to thrive in it. The projection changed to show Kate's performance in the asteroid exercise. The images showed her destroying the drones, but also showed heat signatures and brain activity readings that Kate had not known were being recorded. When the training exercise became deadly, you did not panic, Velthara observed. You became more efficient, okay? Your stress levels dropped while your cognitive function increased, okay? You entered what your species calls a flow state, where conscious thought gives way to pure instinct. Kate watched herself on the recording. She looked calm and focused, moving with deadly precision through a situation that should have terrified her. Other species become less capable under extreme stress, the ascendant continued. Their natural advantages become disadvantages when their environment changes too quickly, okay? But humans become more dangerous when everything goes wrong. Commander Throckmorton was studying the readings with growing concern. You are saying that humans are most effective in crisis situations. We are saying that for humans, crisis situations are normal, Velthara corrected. It's what you call emergency conditions. They call Tuesday. Kate thought about that. Her father had always been calmest during emergencies. When storms knocked down power, when equipment broke, when someone got injured in the mountains, he became more focused and efficient. She had thought that was just his personality, but maybe it was something deeper. Why are you telling us this? Kate asked. Velthara looked at her for a long moment. 'Cause the galaxy is about to change, and change is something humans understand better than anyone else. The projection showed star maps with areas marked in red. The Devourers are coming, Velthara said simply. A species from outside our galaxy that consumes entire worlds. They have destroyed civilizations older and more advanced than anything in this galaxy. Kate felt a chill run down her spine. When their scouts have already arrived, we estimate 18 months before their main force reaches the outer systems. Velthara deactivated the projection. Every species we have contacted has responded with fear. Okay? Want to hide or negotiate or find safe places to retreat. But you think humans will respond differently, Kate said. We know they will, because humans do not hide from existential threats. They find ways to fight them. Commander Throckmorton stepped forward. What exactly are you proposing? An alliance? Tent, send it, have technology? But we have become comfortable over millions of years of peace. We have forgotten how to adapt quickly, how to innovate under pressure, how to find solutions when none seem to exist. Velthara looked directly at Kate. Humans remember these things because they never stop needing them. Kate understood what they were really asking. They wanted humans to do what humans had always done, face an impossible situation and find a way to survive it. There is more, Valthera said. We believe your species has potential that even you do not understand yet, what Morris and Kate demonstrated. And the training exercise was not exceptional human ability. It was normal human ability finally allowed to function properly. What do you mean? Kate asked. You've been trying to fit into a galactic civilization designed by and for species that never faced existential pressure. You've been holding back your natural capabilities to avoid frightening others. Valthera smiled, an expression that was both beautiful and slightly terrifying. But the devourers are coming, and being frightening is exactly what we need. 3 days later, Kate stood in the Academy's main auditorium before an audience of students and instructors from across the galaxy. Commander Throckmore had announced major changes to the curriculum. Survival training would become mandatory for all species. Adaptive combat techniques would be taught alongside traditional fighting styles. And humans would be the teachers. Kate looked out at the sea of alien faces. Some showed respect, some showed fear, and some showed curiosity. But none of them looked at her like she was weak anymore. The galaxy is going to face challenges that require new solutions, she began. Solutions that come from thinking differently about old problems. My species learned these lessons on a world that never stopped trying to teach them to us. She activated a hologram showing images of Earth, mountains and forests, storms and predators, beauty and danger existing side by side. We call it home, Kate said. But you called it a death world, and maybe that is exactly what the galaxy needs right now. Teachers who learned their lessons from death itself. In the audience, Kethvar nodded slowly. Beside him, Miralith watched Kate with new understanding. Even Nexula had returned, her scales bright with anticipation. Kate smiled for the first time since arriving at the Academy.